All right, and welcome to Simplifying Rational Exponents. Now, in number 1, it says evaluate the expression below, and we're given 512 to the 2/3. So the first thing I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to write this little rule over here. I want you to write x to the a over b. Whenever you have any sort of number raised up to a rational exponent, or aka a fraction, you always want to take a look at the denominator first. So I'm going to put the number 1 here, we'll say first. And whatever the denominator is, that's actually the root, okay? So here, a root, remember, is the square root symbol, but whatever number or letter there, you could call this the bth root, okay? And what do we know about a root? Well, a root makes things smaller, okay? And then let's draw an arrow to the letter A, and we're always going to take a look at that second, and we're just going to call that the power, and the power is going to make something larger. So much like you can think of like 4 squared is 16, it gets bigger. Or 5 squared is 25, the 5 gets bigger. Okay, so how do we apply that here? Well, the rule, and I want you all to write this as well, I want you all to write smaller and then larger. Because if you work with something that's smaller first, it's obviously going to be a little bit easier. So right here, what we want to do is we want to take the 512. Okay, y'all, so we're going to take this 512. And what we want to do is we want to make it smaller. So we're going to focus on the root, the denominator, the 3 first. And so we're going to take the cube root of 512. And then on the outside of all of this, we're going to put the square, which is going to make it larger. Okay, and from here, well, you would ask yourself, what is the cube root of 512? And hopefully you have this memorized. The cube root of 512 is 8. Okay, so the cube root of 512 is 8. And then you say, well, okay, well, what's 8 squared? And obviously we know that. 8 squared is 64. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at number 2, and let's follow this same method. So ask yourself this question. Do we look at the numerator or the denominator first? And hopefully you said the denominator. So we can take the cube root of 343, and then on the outside of all of that, we want to, of course, square it. So what's the cube root of 343? Hopefully you have this one memorized as well. That's going to be 7 squared. And what is 7 squared? Well, most of you know that. That is 49. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at one more example that's just a little bit different. So let me pause the video and clean it up. Okay, here we have 81 to the 3/2. Notice the fraction is actually flipped from what we previously had. And so what do we want to do to this problem? Do we want to take the square root or do we want to take the cube root? Well, if you'll notice, there's actually a 2 in the denominator. We want to take the square root. And remember, for a square root, you don't write a 2 anywhere. And then we're going to take the numerator, the cube, and we'll do that second. So our first question becomes, well, what's the square root of 81? And hopefully you would say 9. And we're going to say, well, what's 9 cubed? And of course, 9 cubed is going to be 729. If you don't have that one memorized, of course, you can use a calculator. All right? I hope this helps, and I'll catch y'all in our next video.